to a lot of young people who are a little younger than me. I'm 50 years of age, but I've talked to people who are 30, 35, and even some that are 25. And they were quite insulted and quite grown weary and tired of the old angry black methodology of trying to get people engaged. Because we have to remember that starting in the 70s, black kids and white kids and Asian kids, they started socializing themselves together, and they see the world very differently than, their parents and their grandparents see the world, and they function in it differently. So it's not just about black versus white to them. And I think that the methodology of trying to get people involved and the whole Carol Moseley Braun campaign was a disaster, and I think that you alienated more people than you encouraged them to get involved with that process.
Well, I see that point, and that perspective. One of the gentlemen who was there, and everyone would know him if I were to mention his name, but he argued that a lot of people are being sold this idea that we can't have a black consensus candidate. We can't have this black, and we can't come out this way because, as you said, some of the younger people are saying we can't just vote for somebody because they're black. And he says, he said, don't get brainwashed into starting to think that way, because once you start thinking that way, we'll never have any elected officials. You've got to be careful. You've got to temper that a little bit, because if you get sold into, it doesn't matter whether the person is black or not, they're going to look out for our interests, then there is there's a danger in that also. If you totally accept that logic and that position, that black doesn't matter, and the best candidate, and whoever the best candidate may be. Now, Rahm Emanuel spent $10 million to get his message across, and he did it by television, radio, and other things that he used his money for. And a lot of that came out last night, and it was just very interesting. So I think you got to maybe temper that a little bit, and yeah, I don't want to be racist or anything, and I'm not. But
well, we don't have the power to be racist.
No, you got. Yeah, I know how you.
Right.
You just come to my office and you see what a multicultural office I have, and multi-ethnic office I have. But
and we don't live in a monolithic world. We don't live in an all black world, and we don't live in an all white world. And I'm not saying that the message is not important or that we should stay off the message. It's the methodology of delivering the message to a growing populace of voters that do not function in the world as our leaders functioned in the world 40 years ago, and that fight was appropriate.
It has to be changed. But does that account for 20% or 20% voter turnout for the black population? What is that excuse?
It contributes to it.
Why?
Well, it contributes to it because they're in that generation of people, the overwhelming response to the question is they are tired of listening to someone telling us that I have to vote for someone just because they're black, and to vote for someone just because they're black.
Who is they, Mark? Who is they? I mean, you have the President of the United States, that says, I'm endorsing, or the tepid endorsement of Rahm Emanuel. You've got this consensus group that says Carol Moseley Braun. You got Watkins and Walz. And I mean, there are people telling you to vote for Chico, for Duvalier, whatever. I mean, people tell you who they think you should vote for. Everybody does that. There's no monolithic black, granddaddy that says vote for whomever.
Well, can you imagine if somebody came out and said this is the consensus white person, or this is the consensus a Latino person, or the consensus
and they
Polish
didn't
person?
Vote for Carol.
No,
Carol won
Carol.
one precinct out of 2,715 or 51 precincts in the city. Carol Moseley Braun, Senator Carol Moseley Braun, won one precinct in the entire city of Chicago.
But that sends a message to our community that the
I'm saying obviously
methodology.
people did not listen to
Absolutely.
that. It doesn't mean you stay home.
I think
it doesn't mean you stay home and don't vote.
Well, you can discourage
I
people
mean,
from being interested in that process when it's the same methodology is used and there's no substance to it. You discourage people from wanting to engage in the process. And I really think that we have to look at it on a holistic basis, and we can't just look at it and saying that, you know, okay, you didn't want to support this person, and why did you stay home? We have to look at why is that, and try to approach ways of encouraging people to get involved in the process. And I think the way that you encourage people to get involved in the process is you've got to reach back and you've got to encourage and support younger people as part of the process. If you look at throughout the city,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But to me, there's no excuse for 4 out of 5 people to stay home. That is just and not vote. You just can't make any
there, I agree.
method
I
for that.
agree with you.
Black folks, and it's unfortunate, but I'll just say it, we tend to vote when we get emotionally involved. And there was no emotion for Carol, there was no emotion for Bill Doc Walls, and no great emotion for Ms. Watkins. And those who came out said, I did with the president. You know, president endorsed this guy, who's good enough for the president, is good enough for me. If Emanuel had not, if Obama had not put his arm around Rahm Emanuel, I don't think he wouldn't have gotten the black vote. They said, Rahm who? Like we said last week. Who knew Rahm Emanuel had he not come to the White House? Black folks wouldn't have been out there voting for Rahm Emanuel had he not had the connection to...
But I believe that if that, in your point, that I believe that if our candidates, or I'm not going to say our candidates because they weren't our candidates, because, you know, everybody has the person that they support. But if the African-American candidates were staying on message instead of mess, maybe they would have got more support. It is clear that the people who ran in this past election, Doc Walls, who got less than 1% of the vote.
He got 5,000.
He got 5,000 votes. He got less than Van Pelt Watkins.
Beat him in every ward except for one.
Right.
Yeah.
Carol Mosley Braun got less than 10%. That sends a message that the African-American people who did not vote for them do not trust or believe in them.
And they voted for Rahm Emanuel. Why? Was his message, when I saw him on TV or I saw him in the debates, Jerry Chico did very well in those debates. I thought Duvalier did, Bill Doc Walls. And they all had certain things to say. And I don't think his message was any greater than Chico's. Chico's very articulate, very well rehearsed, whatever. He was on top of it. He could answer things. So could Duvalier, who city clerk. Their message, Rahm Emanuel's message, was not it. But what did he say? Did he say anything?
Well, more than what he said.
It was his affiliation that got him.
Well, no, he had the ability to reach people. I mean, he had the
money,
the money to reach people. And you had.
And his message, his message, and his interviews on when they had the debates, you're saying was somehow better than the other candidates.
I'm not saying that his message was better. I am not saying
the only
that his
reason
message was
because
better.
of his
I am saying
affiliation.
the methodology and the way that black candidates deliver their message does not work today. And we have to look at that, and we have to deliver much more substance to the African-American community and what they're delivering, because African-American community clearly demonstrated
methodology. What do you mean by methodology?
of the way they're delivering it, like this
How?
attack
What's
basis.
the methodology? Yeah.
A personal attacks.
Okay,
that's
all right.
not
That
staying on
costs
message.
some votes, I think.
Absolutely.
But money. If it ain't about money, it's about money. Let's take a call. Eunice, we have missed you, my dear.
Good morning.
How are
Good
you?
morning, Eunice.
Good morning,
Sorry to hear
Mark,
about your sons. You lost.
Thank you.
You lost 2 sons recently. Or
one son.
One. Okay.
Yes,
Sorry.
and I want to thank you, Attorney Borges, for your kind words of sympathy. And the WVON family was very supportive of me and my family, and I want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart. And you know, I just want to comment quickly on this gas prices. You know, I passed the gas station like 2 hours, and came back. The price had gone up 20 cents a gallon. So I asked the guy, I said, why are you charging prices like this within a matter of hours, he just shrugged his shoulders. So that what they're doing is gas gouging. And I wish it was some way somebody could look into it, because I think it happened before, and the Attorney General got involved in it. So you all have a wonderful day,
Okay.
and
Thank you,
continue to
Eunice.
pray for me.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Continue to
Eunice.
pray
We
for
certainly
you.
will.
And you do make a good point, because if prices officially raised by 17 cents in 1 week,
Right.
there's some gas
Gouging going on.
gouging. Some owners on top of that say, well, nobody knows, so I could make this 20 cents instead of even the 17, which is, I guess, regulated to some degree. But it's just an opportunity that the people with money and oil and power use to make more money. If you think about this 1%, the countywide represents $360 million a year. Think of what 17 cents does nationwide,
Worldwide.
worldwide.
Yeah,
how
globally.
much money
Yeah.
that is. We're just talking about the county is 360 million.
Right.
Do this nationwide, worldwide, 17 cents, not 1 cent.
Right.
Think of how many billions of dollars that
Well,
is.
I
It's
was on
just,
Western Avenue Friday night, and at a Citgo gas station, the gas on Western Avenue was $3.72. On Stony Island, it's $3.59. The same
gas, same station,
Same station.
It's ridiculous. We got a lot of callers this morning. Rosa, you're listening
Yes,
to the
good
Voices
morning.
Report. Good morning.
Ambassador Braun lost, I believe, because she didn't want to win. Now, like in my
Why did she get in the
neighborhood
race?
here,
Why did she get in the race?
well, it was other than to win. Maybe it's to get some money. I don't know, but it was something, because she know how to run a campaign, because she ran for the U.S. Senate and she ran for 2 other positions before she got the Senate position. So now, that's like a Monday or Sunday, she didn't even show up at Reverend Neese church. You know,
Yeah, well,
and all these missteps. She was in this race for something else.
she didn't get a lot of money because, the businesses that thought they were going to be supporting her did not give her the funds that they...
And I wonder why
But-
they reconsidered
But
that.
sir, you had
tell you.
all the people that who have never ran for aldermen. They had their literature out, and they even had commercials.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? She didn't have anything. She didn't even have her literature out.
Yeah.
She really didn't want to win.
No, she
That-
She didn't have a lot of. Thanks for your call, Rosa. She didn't have a lot. Well, I heard Van Pelt's advertisements on radio a lot, or at least on WPON. I didn't hear anything for Doc Walls, and I didn't hear. I heard more for Van Pelt than I did for Carol Mosley Braun.
Well, she may have had a better ground campaign, and you have to reach the voters. You've got to get out there. You've got to have a great phone bank of operators calling voters, asking for their votes. And if you're not asking people for their vote and you're not reaching them, not just one time, you're going to have to reach them 4, 5, 6 times to get them to support you.
A lot of, there's a group of people who have indicated they were going to give X number of dollars to Carol Mosley Braun, and she hurt herself a lot when she made that comment about Van Peltz.
Well, she hurt herself with that, and then she hurt herself by avoiding the media and addressing
Well, she hurt
questions.
herself, and I heard this from the horse's mouth. She hurt herself a lot in terms of money. People saying, well, let me have a second thought here. And it was unfortunate. It was unfortunate. It was just an unfortunate incident that I don't know if it would have changed a whole lot, but it certainly.
Well, it did
certainly-
change. It
yeah.
certainly could have forced possibly, a runoff.
runoff,
You're
yeah.
talking about she lost in the polls. At the time, prior to that, there was a recent poll that was
Yeah.
done, and she was in the 22 or 23% polling.